If you haven't watched the new heartbreaking documentary, Framing Britney Spears, you need to get on it right now. In this week's episode of Queer, we discuss all things Britney and control. We talk control in life, relationships, and so much more.
And welcome back to Queer. This week, we have a very fun topic. There's been a lot of things going on in the world, and a lot of them have had to do with control.
Control.
And this week, we're going to be talking about Britney Spears.
Oh my God, yeah. So I'm sure we've all heard of the documentary that just came out like last week.
Yeah.
Framing Britney Spears.
Yeah.
It was, I think, made from New York Times.
I thought it was just a random people that were doing the Free Britney stuff.
No, this was like from New York Times. So that's why it's a very like well respected.
Yeah.
So like people like took it seriously. So I think after the documentary came out, like people really kind of like are now not blind to like her situation,
right,
and now kind of get why like she is the way she is and like what's really happening.
Before we talk about Britney, should we do an icebreaker? A little bit about Britney Spears?
Break the ice.
Come on and break the ice.
About Britney Spears.
Yeah. What's your favorite? We'll do a flash round, a speed round. What's your favorite Britney Spears song?
Toxic.
Amazing.
Mine. Fuck. Say yours first.
Mine is. I have two. Mine's Break the Ice because I love the video and I also love the little conspiracy theory behind it, which is.
What's the conspiracy?
Have you never heard this?
No.
So it's like, you know how it's an animated video.
Yeah.
They say that like like from all the recordings that Britney has been making, they just like were using demo pieces of it. They were taking pieces of like her pre-recorded stuff and blending it into making a song. So Britney Spears has never actually sung the song Break the Ice. It's just a bunch of random clips from other songs that have been smashed together. Love that.
I mean, I could see that.
Right? You can. The lyrics are not that dense, right? Like you can for sure see that might be happening. And also, I love Gimme More.
Ooh,
Give me more. Give me more.
That era was iconic.
Oh, so good.
She was. So
I don't know. Give Me More was not iconic.
No,
What?
for the time, it was very like ahead of its time.
Attention.
I guess mine is from her very first album. It's called "From the Bottom of My Broken Heart."
Oh.
My broken heart. Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Can either of you name both of Britney's children?
Max and Liam.
No, Preston and the other one.
Apple.
I couldn't. Who were the last three people that Britney Spears dated that were really big?
That new guy, the one that's completely robbing her. The Arab guy.
Yeah.
Before that was I think her manager.
Maybe.
And then before that, I'm gonna say her baby daddy, Kevin Federline.
Yeah.
I win.
I would have also accepted a Justin Timberlake in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
What show did Britney Spears star on when she was a child?
Stargirl, Star Search. There you go.
What was the kids show that she was on?
Oh, the Mickey
Star
Mouse Club.
Search.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Ding dang dong.
Oh my god. This is not a thing.
Ding dang dong. Jamie Lynn Spears was on what TV show?
So I went.
Yes.
You're so gay.
How many siblings does Britney Spears have?
2.
1, 2. She's a brother.
She has a brother. And
Yeah.
sister.
What's her brother's name?
Jamie.
No, that's her dad.
That's her dad.
So is her sister.
Could you imagine? It's
Jamie Lynn.
It's Jamie Lynn, Jamie, and Britney. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I don't know a lot about Britney. All I know is that I wanted to go to her Las Vegas show and I never got to.
Oh, so good.
So now we're talking about Britney. We're talking about control. Do you guys want to give me the 411 because I have not watched the 411? What era am I in?
You're from the 90s.
Do you guys want to give me the 411 on
God.
what's happening on period? I tried to mix the two.
On period.
Yeah, on period.
Oh my God. Okay. So the documentary pretty much just kind of takes us back, like right before, like actually no, it took us back to when like her rise of stardom.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of like it took us through the years of like up until when she got pregnant, and then kind of like what happened with her and like the paparazzi and like all of that, and then basically how she lost her like actual control of her life. And then it ends obviously up until now, and like with the court hearings and stuff, and like what's currently happening and how she's trying to get her control back.
you missed the most important part.
What?
It was just about how she was young and how the industry completely just objectified her throughout the entire thing. Like even down to the point where she's a child, and when she was dating Justin Timberlake, the most important thing was whether or not they had sex.
Right.
Right. And then going forward, whether or not she had her boobs done, things like that. So just as a young star budding in this industry, and at that time she had like her talent was at its peak, all anyone would focus on was her sex appeal. Right. So it went from that and how that kind of broke her apart, and then how all the people around her became vultures and seen that as an opportunity to kind of manipulate her into bringing them success, and to bringing them profit and bringing them gains, right?
True.
And there was also this, I'm on Tiki Talk way too much, and on the Tickety Talk, and there was this whole conspiracy theory talking about like how George Bush there's like this huge conspiracy theory that he may or may not have paid off Britney Spears to have like, you know, when she had the 48-hour wedding.
Yeah.
It was like the same time as some like crazy bill or something that needed to be passed. That's something that was like happening in the news.
Oh, so he like paid her to kind of like keep eyes off of whatever.
And when she shaved her head was like one of the biggest moments in American history for him for some point. I don't know if it's true.
I mean,
obviously
that's a little
it's not.
far-fetched.
But like to be honest, like we've seen this bitch on stage. Sorry, I don't mean bitch in a bad way. I mean bitch in the most
like
loving
an endearing way.
Yeah, like my bitch.
Yeah.
And and I think that like she seems like a robot to this, like to a point. Do you know what I like?
Of course.
When she moves, it's just
yeah, but like obviously, like we all have kind of like grown up with her here, and you know that she wasn't always like that. Like back in the 90s, when she was on stage, when she was at her peak, she was it. Like she would give you everything. Now, obviously, it's due to what Jamal said, like the industry, everybody around her, but also she's heavily medicated as well. So that obviously plays a part in like everything, right? Like, she's probably medicated just to kind of like be sane, and this is the only way that she can maybe cope.
Even down to the haircut situation where she shaved her head bald, right? It wasn't the fact that she was going through depression or something like that. Her underlying point was that I'm going to strip you from all that you objectify me for and make you not want to objectify me. So she was running from it, right? And then what I didn't know until I watched that documentary was that whole beating the car situation with the umbrella was because there was a fucking paparazzi that wouldn't leave her alone. She was actually just chilling in her car at the gas station while her friend was pumping gas, and this guy's just in her face, surrounding her car, taking numerous amount of pictures to the point where she just lost it, got out of her car, and fucking
remember at that point too, like in the documentary, they said that was the point where I think she was trying to like see her kids, because at that point they were taken away, and like Kevin Federline would not pick up the phone, so she was obviously distraught because
she had just left his house. So it's weird. It's like she, like, even though she's so much of a robot, I don't feel like at that time she was so much of a robot. All it was that we would only publish certain things about her, right? And one of the paparazzi guys even said in the documentary that she was a gold mine. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever whenever Britney would walk outside, these guys would make millions off of one photo. So she couldn't even leave, down to the point where when she first started, or even at her peak, like Oops, I Did It Again, she was so friendly to the paparazzi. She would stop, she would talk, she would give them the opportunity to make millions, but all they would do is suck her dry. When she would ask them to leave her alone, they would not leave her alone, right? So it got to the point where it was like she got to the point of a breaking point, and it's like imagine the average person, like when you're hung out to dry, all of a sudden now you're going to the doctor, you're seeking meds. What's the difference from us and what's the difference from her?
Right.
You know what I mean? Other than the fact that she's popular and she's televised.
Yeah, and I think also like the era that she grew up into, there was like so much control in media that was like actually just paparazzi. Like now we have so much ability to connect. I think we've talked about this before, but like we have so much connection to social media. We have so much ability to present ourselves in the way that we want, even if the media is presenting us another way or those kind of things. And like at that point in her life, she never really had that opportunity in the new part of her career to show who she actually was. It was all kind of shown through the paparazzi lens. And that was with all of the celebrities in the early 2000s.
Did you guys know that Britney single-handedly not evolved but amplified TMZ?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So Harvey, I forgot where he said it, but when she was at like when she was like a new artist, TMZ was just that average tabloid, right? And then because of Britney, they had the opportunity to evolve into like a television show, all that kind of stuff, because she made them millions.
Our queen creating jobs.
I know. creating more jobs than the American government.
On to, because we're only talking about Britney, do you think that she's intentionally creating these Instagram videos to bring awareness?
Oh, okay. Like, okay. So you mean like, okay. So let's talk about conspiracy theory.
Right.
So the main conspiracy theory out there right now is that, like, obviously because she has no control over her life and like everything that she does is very heavily monitored, that like people are saying that through her posts, which I'm sure we've all seen, they're kind of like a little off, a little quirky, a little, you know,
makeup's not super done properly.
You know what I mean, okay?
The bitch is gyrating with her makeup looking like it's pouring off her face.
But we
know
still
what?
love her. She's still beautiful.
Yes.
Hey guys, I'm gonna do this little dance routine for you.
But so the thing is, people are saying like, are there like secret hidden messages within these posts?
Right. Like somebody said on one of the posts, or like on one of the comments, is like, if you wear a yellow flowered shirt, I mean, like if you wear something with yellow flowers on it, we know that you're asking for help. And then the next video is her doing a dance with a yellow shirt on, like a shirt with yellow flowers on.
I don't think it's that.
But it was like it's not proven that she was doing that for the reason, but it was like shocking. People were screaming.
I don't think it's that deep though. I think what she's trying to do is she's trying to exaggerate her mental illness to the point where it's now being broadcast to the masses. So when she goes to court, it's undeniable that she has lost her mind.
Oh, like her family is doing, like her dad's doing that.
Yeah. So like when she stands in front of the judge, it's like, no, look at her. She is crazy. No one can second guess it. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like some of these videos are purposely posted so no one can sit here and be like, well, is Britney actually that crazy? It's like, well, we have fucking thousands upon thousands of videos that prove that she's not in her right mind.
Right. It could be either way.
I'll give you an example. Like every day in the court system, when someone wants to plead that they're not criminally responsible, they claim fucking insanity. And what do they do in that moment? They do every fucking little thing possible to prove that they're insane, and they're actually not. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, who knows? I think that she could have done, I think either way. It could have been gone either way. Like her parents or her dad could have probably had control over it, or she maybe was like, actually, like, please fucking help me.
What I want to see, like, in the future is, because, like, obviously, like I said before, like, we've all grown up with her and, like, we know who the real Britney is.
Yeah.
And I just, like, want, like, this whole thing to be over. And then I want her to, like, come out and do, like, an interview and be, like, her authentic self and be like, okay, guys, this is the tea.
Right.
And this is what's been happening. I know it's probably not going to happen.
I feel like...
Just imagine she comes out and her voice is like... Hi guys, my name's Britney.
Basically, Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like she truly has went through a lot, and I don't think it's going to take years upon years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like God forbid she turns into Whitney Houston. Like it's not going to end well. But I feel like expecting her to talk about her truth is nowhere in the near future. Mm-hmm. So, like sad for her, and I'm really happy that she has the fan base to sit here and like
save Britney.
Yeah, fight for her. But it's like it's sad that like the legal system
is just so against her right now.
Not even just so against her. Did you see in the video where that one lady who was in throughout the whole legal process had said that in her time as a lawyer, she has not seen one successful case where the conservatorship has been removed.
Yeah.
Not one. And then the bitch decides to team up with her sister or her dad?
I think it was her dad.
To the point where like she was on the documentary and then all of a sudden, boom, she's gone. Mm-hmm. Because now it's a conflict of interest. I'm like, that is shady as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, from everything that we learned, it's not looking great, but slowly but surely, like just a couple days, we did get like news that they did appoint like a new lawyer for her that she appointed herself, which is like miles away from what it was before, where like before the court would only appoint whoever they wanted, and now this person actually seems to like have Britney's best interest and not just her father.
Yeah, and now that lawyer has 50% of the conservatorship, and her dad has the other, and her dad has her sister has the other 50% of her conservatorship.
Yeah, but her dad still.
But her dad still has the $600 million.
Of course.
And can only give her a certain amount of allowance a week. Which I honestly, can I just say, like, I think the allowance is like $400 to $500,000 a week. Somebody told me. So I was like, what do you even do with that, girl? No offense. I'm still saying like she doesn't have complete control over where she can use it and those kind of things.
Well,
but she still has that allowance of being able to.
Yes. But you have to. So imagine your life right now and upscale it. Everything now costs 10 times more. So like your rent now becomes your mortgage payments. So now imagine your house. Her mortgage payments is probably about $1 million a month. It's not like she's getting $500,000 a week.
You don't think that house is paid off? I think that house will be paid off.
Bitch, considering
after that Las Vegas show,
considering who's managing her finances, I doubt it.
Like,
ding dong.
So the amount of money that is coming out of her like bank account, because keep in mind, all of these people that are tied into this conservatorship are getting paid, including her dad. Yeah. So she's paying for all of these legal fees, everything, plus her house, plus her like just her lifestyle. But then at the same time, even if she like, it all boils down to like, even if she wants to go and grab a coffee, she can't just go and pay for that coffee. Like somebody is looking down her shoulder being like, oh, you've bought this coffee.
Yeah. Gross.
So the bigger question is if people have so much control over her life, why aren't we simply just saying, hey, I'm going to force you into rehab. Let's just solve this problem. And what happened there?
Well, in the documentary, like there was a portion where she was involuntarily forced into rehab. And like, I mean, the thing with rehab too is also like
for eating disorder, right?
I don't think it was an eating disorder. It's just, I don't think it was mentioned. I think it was just rehab.
So I don't even think she's ever had a problem with drugs.
Well,
I mean,
but
who hasn't?
What I'm saying, like specifically to rehab, I just want to say that like you can be put into rehab like against your will, or if you want to like put yourself into rehab, sure. But I don't think rehab is going to help you unless you want it to.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the one.
I disagree.
How?
Okay.
Okay. No, I disagree. I feel like if you have a mental illness, being forced to remove yourself from that environment and being forced to reflect will at least bring you to the light, at least temporarily. Do you know what I mean? Let's say, for example, imagine those people that are on fucking intervention. They may not want to get sober. Do you know what I mean? But force them into a fucking rehab, they will get sober and they will realize their wrongs. It may be temporary, but you're forced into it. You know what I mean? So there will be that period of having a clear mind. Whether or not it sticks and whether or not it's successful long term, that's a different story, right? But I don't feel like she's been in anything even remotely close to that. It was more so just like, let's put her in there for the show of it. You know what I mean? Saying Britney's in rehab. Again, tabloids, publicity, money, right? It was never to actually help her out. So it's like now that she's even banking more money today, we don't hear about her going to rehab. We hear about Amanda Bynes being successful, but not this bitch. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think about Justin Timberlake's little apology? So
Justin Timberlake can go suck a cock.
Hot. I would pay so much money to watch that. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I can't. Okay, yeah, Justin Timberlake is hot. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sorry, you're canceled. You've been canceled for a minute, and like we're not here for it.
Can I say something controversial? This is the last thing I'm going to say. That's controversial. Okay, I get that we need to cancel people because people do bad things, you know, but it's just like so annoying for me sometimes, like have to cancel people. That I get why we have to do it, and I know this is just gonna get me in so much trouble, especially for the work that I do. But sometimes I'm just like, okay, now Justin Timberlake. Do you know how I think he's the very first person I ever jerked off to?
Oh,
now you're saying I have to fucking cancel him,
girl.
Maybe it was like the Zubumafu brother, like, but when he had like the curly hair, like in sync time.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, fuck
that
yeah.
was your favorite.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh my god.
And do you know what? You get a lot of control when you can grab onto that hair and just fucking face fuck him. Anyway, and maybe that's what he needs right now.
Wow. I'm sure Jessica Biel is not having this.
She's face fucking him.
Yeah, she's the one that's face fucking him. Do you know what? And I get it. I think we should cancel him. I completely get it. But this is my question for you guys. Can we still listen to his old music?
Well, it's definitely not as deep as R. Kelly, so I'm going to say yes.
I know.
Yeah.
But I for one, I'm completely against canceling people.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we as a society have that privilege to decide when someone's life should just fucking evaporate. Now, I don't fully believe that Janet Jackson situation was entirely him. There's no way you can tell me that he pulled off your shirt and miraculously enough, there was tassels on your nipples just in case. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Right. But I don't think like, so I kind of get where you're going. And I don't think people are saying that it was like he's completely off the hook.
He should have took some ownership.
Yeah, because she
Right.
got all the like blame and
You're
she
a
kind of
slut,
walked
you're
off.
a whore, you're trying to do all this stuff.
So
too.
guess
Like,
what?
He walked
then-
off being like, well, I'm a white straight man, so
Yeah.
I'm good.
I don't think so. He walked off being a fucking product of his industry, being conforming to what his team told him to do. So his publicist probably said, shut the fuck up, don't say anything because you will be canceled. Do you know what I mean? So, and mind you, at that time he's at his peak, he's still young, he's at his prime.
I also wonder if he got more famous. I think that was the one thing that I reading like this week was like, that hard thing was like her album fucking dropped like nobody's business and he got more famous.
Mhm.
Well, girl, like at the end of the day, she's in like the top 10 artists of all time. So what does she want? You know what I mean? So like when we're comparing the two, he will never be on Janet Jackson's level. Even though she was canceled, she's still fucking Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if he kept his mouth shut, yeah, wrong. But that's kind of what artists do when they're being silenced. He was also a puppet. You see what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
like what he should have done in that moment was apologize and then said, but the real thing was, I was a fucking victim of what happens truly in this entertainment industry. So he should have apologized and then exposed everyone for their nasty behavior. That to me would have been acceptable.
True. I think like the thing that always kind of ends up happening within these situations is that people don't talk about the truth. Like they really don't
Right.
spill the tea. They're like,
They're
oh,
sipping coffee.
well, yeah. They're always like, okay, well, like the socially acceptable thing to do if like a situation like happens like that is apologize and then move on. But they never kind of like actually tell you the real stuff that happened behind the scenes, because then it's almost like you're revealing like the like what's behind the curtain kind of thing, which is, I mean, we all know like fucking what happens behind the curtain in Hollywood is like, it's scary, it's crazy.
Yeah, it all fucking sucks. And I think at the end of the day, like even this fucking apology is like Justin Timberlake got told he had to do it, right? And like, and in my head, sometimes I'm like, I'm like, okay, it was like 15 years ago when all this stuff with Britney and him were happening, where they're like in their fucking jean fucking
Love that
outfits,
look.
such good looks, walking down the fucking red carpet, living their best life, and then all people are asking him and her like if he's had sex or not with her, and blah blah blah. And then there's all this stuff revealed later on that he's like, yeah, like I fucked her, blah blah, blah, like just like kind of like sexualizing her in a weird way, and it's the same thing that's happened, like the toxic masculinity of what he kind of grew up in was like people were giving him high fives for that and calling her a dumb whore for it.
Hold on, sorry, because I know of the Janet Jackson situation, but why are they demanding that he apologize, or why did they demand that he apologize to Britney?
Well, so
Here we go,
back
bitch.
then.
Come on, Wendy Williams.
How you doing? Okay, so really, like they were the it couple of like Hollywood back then, and when they broke up, so I don't even really know the real story. This is from what I remember loosely, but from when they broke up, what the narrative that was told to us as the public was that she cheated on him with one of her backup dancers.
Yes.
And then he proceeded to villainize her in his music, in his videos. Yeah, which, I mean, an iconic song.
Oh, such a good song.
Love.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Cancelled.
Yes. But even that, it's just like, he was praised for this because he was like, oh, I'm a victim. Like, she did me wrong. And then she got all of like the like shit on because of it.
Yeah. And he was also like he was like putting things in, he was like in the tabloids, like telling people how they were having sex, like what kind of like all this kind of gross kind of shit after they broke up, which is just like honestly is not a fair light to put somebody in. Not saying like he wasn't being like, she's a dumb cotton guzzling slut, but he was like, yeah, we had sex, we did it like this, blah, blah, blah. It was so easy to get her in bed the first time, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, dude, like, you know, like if you think that she cheated on you, sure, you can see like, your feelings can be hurt, but you also have to remember you're in the public eye, and what you can say can affect somebody's life for the rest of their days.
Agreed. I just don't understand this sudden spike in interest and demand to cancel the guy when it's like Rob Kardashian is still walking this earth, and it's like nobody gave a shit then. If anything, we fucking perpetuated his behavior. We still do it with fucking millions of guys every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Rappers on a daily basis. So I'm like, are you simply trying to cancel the guy because it's the fucking popular thing to do right now, which is only perpetuating that behavior going forward?
Right.
You're only saying that the fucking trendy thing to do is to follow this trend that's in media, which is only going to cause more people to continue to do the same fucking behavior going forward.
And crazily, Jamal, I kind of agree with you for the fact that like he's been married to Jessica Biel for how fucking long?
They've been for a while.
They've been in love. He's doing trolls. Like he does music for the trolls.
Let's not big up that relationship because there's many of reports that he's been very nasty in that relationship. But
with him and Jessica Biel.
Yeah, they went through a toxic period where he, I think, potentially cheated on her as well.
Oh, but I mean, like they're together, and I think they're like sorry, in my head, because I don't know that information, so I can't even go off of it. But I'm saying like it's hard to say what somebody did when they were 21 is going to dictate their whole entire fucking life, and that's what freaks me out.
That's what I want to get to, though. We can't shun people for their behavior as children. Like at the end of the
babies.
Day, like they're not babies. They're probably in their 20s, early 20s.
Yeah, no, for
You're still old enough to know right and wrong, but you're not old enough to demand respect and to lead with respect. So yes, their behavior is wrong, and yes, you should kind of criticize them for that, but what you should do is encourage them to lead younger generations going forward to invoke change.
I love that. Let's fucking change the world.
Whoa.
Are you serious right now?
What?
Look at you trying to control the conversation with your giant ass burp.
Whoa. My God.
Okay, so I think we've learned it. Whoa. You didn't like that?
Whoa.
Oh my God, whatever. You guys found it sexy. Just say it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. But then I find out that you're not my Dom Top Daddy, and then I get sad. But speaking about Dom Top Daddies, we just talked about the control that's happened with Britney Spears. How about let's talk about a little bit of control that happens in relationships?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I don't know if you guys have a question for you, for the two of you.
Question. Tell me what you think about me.
Ding dong. So
what's so funny is as you sang that, I wasn't even like processing what you were singing, and I was just about to sing it too, and then I felt like an idiot, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Anyway. And I think I heard that in Rabah. Actually, when I was coming on my way home, I was buying fucking some whole milk for my biscuits that I'm going to cook later on.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah.
You still drink regular milk?
No, I bake with it.
Oh, but you don't drink it.
I don't drink milk, period. No.
Yeah.
Period.
Only fags drink milk.
Ugh, no.
I fucking hate, like, anytime somebody says, I want a nice cold glass of milk.
Okay, nobody says that.
I don't even
People do. I know people that drink fucking cold. Like, I'm from Alberta. You're from Alberta. People drink nice cold glasses of milk.
Good for you, but like I don't even.
No, it's not.
No, it is.
No, it's not.
The calcium is amazing.
You're not supposed to drink milk.
Well, anyway, I don't even eat cereal because I don't like milk.
I like almond milk.
Oat milk.
Oat milk. Talking about oat milk all over your face. Have you guys ever been in a Dom sub relationship?
Not a Dom sub relationship. Like, it was never like that. But once we talk a little bit more, like, I've been in like controlling-ish relationships.
Right.
But what about you? Dom sub?
No, never. Couldn't do it.
Recently I tried to with somebody who was white and boring.
Wait, and he was Dom.
Yeah, he like had this. He's like a bit of a conservative, blah blah blah, which I was fine with. I was fine with all that kind of shit. But then it was just like when we finally got into it, when I was like, okay, here we go. This is gonna happen. This is gonna get so hot. I'm gonna like make him dinner, and then I'm gonna suck his dick under the table while he eats it, and then I'm gonna like do his fucking laundry while he plows me or some shit, and then all of a sudden, all of his insecurities just came. Like, you could just see that, like, you know, he could be like a Dom with his dick in my mouth, but that was the only way he could really feel dominant, was through like hypersexual acts. And I was like, that's boring. I was like, if it's gonna happen, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen all the time.
Yeah, that's very like one dimensional of him.
Yeah, it's like for somebody who was like, I'm a Dom, and then I was like, okay, let me try it. I've never done this before. New for me. And then him just being like kind of nervous by my all of my confidence.
Yeah, your
like,
charm.
Yeah, he was just like, I was like, okay, I'm bored. But what about like, because there's so many different controlling dynamics within a relationship.
Wait, did you say have you?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
There's so many, like, because there's so many different controlling dynamics in a relationship, right? You can be like, how do you share control within a relationship?
How do you share control? I don't even know. Like, I think within a healthy relationship, obviously both parties have to have like equal amounts of control. I think that would be the best way.
Right.
That being said, I think like each relationship is different. So I think it can shift through times, or maybe one person has a little bit more control, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that like I find like I have a hard time giving up control when it comes to like emotions. I'm a bit of an emotional manipulator. To any of the boys that are listening, see if you can beat me. The other day, even like my friend, I was like, oh, should I go on a date with this guy? But I know it's quarantine, so we'll just go for a walk. And then if I want to suck his dick, then he'll be part of my bubble or something after.
He'll wear a mask.
And then wear a mask. And I love that joke. And then they were like, "Oh no, you wouldn't want to date him because he's a bit manipulative." And I was like, "Perfect."
Like, challenge accepted, motherfucker.
I was like, "Who's gonna win?" So awful, so awful. But I think that there is a balance of being able to share control. But I think there also has to be that vulnerability of being able to give it up in certain ways, and not like sexually or anything like that, but being able to say like, "Okay, like." Maybe I can't just always decide what we're watching on TV. Just like little things like that you're like, oh, or like you're like, oh, who's control of like making sure that like who has the car that day? You're like, I'm gonna give up control and take the fucking bus and let this person have this.
See, I feel like a prude in the sense that the moment you say control with me and a relationship, I'm out.
Huh.
Even if it's in a positive sense, I don't believe in giving control away, and I don't believe in taking control of another person. I'm full-heartedly into a balance of leadership and a respect level. So I will never, ever, ever control my partner, nor do I expect him to ever try to control me. Out of respect, yeah, I may let you lead, and out of respect, or I hope that with respect you will let me lead, but we are a partnership. We are a duo. We are fucking two puzzle pieces connecting. So how about we just shut the fuck up and allow each other to come together and be our best selves?
Right.
The moment I need to dominate you, I'm like, nah. The moment I need to tell you what to do, I'm like, nah. The moment you tell me what to do, I'm like, nah.
Have you guys ever experienced a moment where you felt like you lost control in your relationship?
Mentally, yes.
Do you want to explain on that a little bit more?
I think I have in the past. When my long-term relationship, I feel like that motherfucker beat me down emotionally to the point where I could literally pour a cup of water and I did it wrong. And I forgot where I heard this, but I heard it, I think it was on TV, where people like to kind of beat down the confidence of their partner just so the partner doesn't feel like they're superior or more than enough, to the point where like it makes them want to stay with that partner. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I was a victim of that, to the point where it was just like, you know what, like I feel like my partner had his insecurities, so he tried to bring me down to his level so I would never leave him. Do you know what I mean? And as a result, I became like this antisocial fucking closeted motherfucker that just couldn't cope with the world, right? So by the time I exited that relationship, I had no idea who I was as an individual.
Yeah.
So that sort of control is definitely like, it's not so outright. It's not so like you didn't really know you were being controlled, right?
I didn't even know it until years later. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that kind of control, like that sort of emotional control, happens a lot more than we think.
Oh, absolutely.
And like you said, it happens in kind of a lot of different ways, where then it kind of makes the other person or the other party kind of like not want to like leave you, or like it's just, it's almost like you said, like I don't want to say emotional manipulation, because I did like what you said about yourself, and I don't want to put you in that category, but it's like a different type of manipulation.
I find like hopefully from what I've learned throughout my relationships now, is like that kind of stuff that I joke about on this podcast and stuff is very superficial. Like there's like a superficial landscape of like controlling over like, oh my gosh, how do I convince my boyfriend to cook me dinner without me having to like say cook me dinner, right? Like those are the kind of things that I'm talking about, more or less than like being like, oh, you've done everything wrong and how do I just shut you down so that nobody else, so you'll not want to spend any more time with anybody else because you feel like a failure.
Yeah, like that sort of control is almost like deep rooted and crazy.
Yeah.
And
it's
those people,
gaslighting.
Yeah, like but it happens so often, even with like a lot of my friends actually, like, you know, like within your friends group, like they'll tell you like the things that, you know, they fight about or whatever, and then for me, like I kind of notice, like obviously sometimes there are patterns, and you know, as friends, you obviously don't want to be like that one that's like, well, you're in a controlling relationship, but sometimes that's kind of what you need to hear, because sometimes, like in Jamal's case, like you don't really know that you're being controlled, or you don't really know that you are in a relationship where you don't have control.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's even that moment of like somebody, I think there's a lot of the times when you hear relationships of people saying, why are you trying to hurt me so bad? Or why are you hurting me? Why are you doing this? And there's like, in that, by saying that you're giving the other person power to hurt you, you're actually trying to manipulate them into thinking that they're an awful person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes when you're in a really big fight, there's this moment of people just being like, instead of like continuing to have the conversation about the relationship, they'll say things like, why are you trying to hurt me? Why are you trying to leave me when I need you? Why are you trying to do this when you're my everything? Or like all these kind of things that they think sound, even for them, maybe it doesn't even sound like they're trying to control things, but it is like an emotional response to get control, because you're making the other person feel guilty over something that you're just putting on top of them. Right. So there's always that balance of being like, when is it like, that's almost like passive aggressive abuse in a way of like control, right? The dynamic of being like, everything that's happening right now in this argument is your fault, and I'm being hurt by the thing that you're doing, and I'm not taking any accountability for the things that I am also doing. Mm-hmm. Stop doing that shit, boys.
See, I don't think I've never done that per se. I've seen people that do that. I feel like that's the weaker side of doing things. To sit here and be like, why are you trying to hurt me? I think for me at least, what's more toxic is when they're like, fuck, I just had it in the perfect words and I lost it. I'll say it again later because it's not going to be as...
Do you want me to sing Ding Ding Dong?
No.
Ding Ding Dong. Sing,
oh, so like when it's more like subliminal. So like, oh, you're really going to walk away right now?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to do that?
Yeah.
Jamal, you're really going to do this right now?
Are you really going to act that way?
Oh, you actually forgot what you said? Did you actually forget what you said?
Did you? What?
You actually forgot what you said? Or did you not forget what you said?
I did.
No, you didn't. See, that's what it is.
He did it.
I'm a fucking victim. But yeah, I feel like that is the more toxic way to go about it, at least for me, because it's like it makes you question yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're wrong, but I'm going to have you stop for a second, wonder if like, oh fuck, am I actually doing what I want to do right now? Is he right? Maybe I need to chill out. It just makes like to have to be forced to question your own actions, to me, is like the most toxic thing to do, because as an adult, 9 times out of 10 we think we know what we're fucking doing, and 9 times out of 10 we think we have a concrete idea of who we are. So when the person you love makes you stop for a second and be like, wait a second, am I really who I am? And are my actions really a good reflection of who I am? That to me is the most toxic thing, because then it's going to keep boiling down to the point where now you're questioning the fucking shit you did when you were 5. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like any type of control in a relationship to me is toxic. And I feel like that's why I'm not into the dom sub thing. You know what I mean? Like there was this one guy I talked to years ago, not even years ago, like, well, anyway, 2 hours ago,
last week.
And he was blatant. Like he was attracted to me. I was attracted to him. Like we vibed a little bit, but he wanted, like, he was full out, like open. Like I want to be spanked. I want to do all that kind of shit. And I'm like, no. Right. And that alone was a deal breaker. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I'm not going to choke you. I'm not going to beat you.
Ever?
Like,
you're not going to choke me even a little bit?
I'll choke you playfully during sex, but he meant full on, like, get a paddle and fucking hit me.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, absolutely not. Because at that point, in order for me to do that, I have to have zero respect for you.
Right.
Right. So, and to me, like, any man that allows me to control his being, doesn't deserve my respect. I'm attracted to confidence.
Right.
And I'm attracted to strong-minded individuals. So if you're going to bring yourself down to beneath me, I'm like, we're not on the same page.
But I will say, just to counter your point there, as like being somebody who's like subby, I'm like sometimes pretty subby. It's like, I don't think that some of those things are disrespectful to me, because I always feel like I'm in control. Like that when I'm telling you to hit me, I'm like, no, I would never, like when people want to get hit in the face and those kind of things, that's not really my jam. My face is my moneymaker. I don't know if you guys have seen my face, but if you need to see more of it, follow me on Nervous Shipwreck and you'll understand why it is my moneymaker. But like, I couldn't imagine getting hit in the face, but I really like somebody sometimes taking control in the bedroom and then having that but like, even if that control's there, it's like almost a superficial level of control that I could say stop whenever, because there's like a difference between like when you're like looking in the BDSM community or any of those kind of things, that there's always like a storyline or those kind of things. If it's like a very like a person that's getting dominated a fair bit, it's like there's a storyline, a beginning, middle, and end of how the things are going to happen that they've had a conversation about before. So then when they're going into the scenario of this sexual scenario, therefore they both still have a little bit of control. So that's like there are certain aspects of like dom sub relationships that I'm like super duper attracted to. I'm like, this sounds great. But then there's people that do it so wrong, or you see things like 50 Shades of Grey that say like, this is how you're supposed to do it. That makes it seem like people lose control a lot. But I think in most sub dom relationships that I know of, both people have the exact same amount of control. It just looks different.
So now my question for you then is, how do you live with that contradiction? Because two people cannot have control of anything in the real world of things, right?
Right.
Like if there was a rope in front of us and you and I are tugging on it, one of us has control. One of us has more torque and one of us has more whatever the opposite of torque is.
Yeah, I do, because I have big arms.
Lies. But like realistically speaking, two people cannot have control of any situation in life. So I feel like that is a way of kind of learning to accept the idea of dom, sub, control, submissive. Like, but explain that to me. So like how, like at what point do you sit here and say, you know what? I lost my control. You're now taking way too much control. There needs to be a line here.
I would say like there's sometimes like if you are with the right dom, you have to have like the conversations with them first, obviously, and being like, if you're getting tied up, like what is not even like safe words, but ways of you to be able to say like, I need you to slow down. I need this to happen. I need this not to happen. This stuff can happen.
But wouldn't a real dom be like, huh, and just keep going?
No, that's not a real dom.
Right.
That person has no control in their life. They're failures. They're sad little bitches. Those people are fucking awful. Fuck you.
I think
those are rapists, is what you're talking about. Those are sexually assaulted little
Justin
piggies.
Timberlake.
I mean, technically. So yeah, like what he was saying is like a couple that really know what like the dom sub relationship is really like, they know that both of them have equal control, whereas a person on the outside, like it looks like only one person has the control.
Right.
Again, two people cannot have control.
No, well,
control is like it's. I guess you're continuing having the conversation. So the word control, I guess, is maybe an easy way of saying it. But I think it's like control, like not control. It's communication, right? You're like both. There's like leadership. You switch roles. You're like very much a person maybe like having physical control, but they don't have control over your actual body. So even if they're like flipping you on the bed or tying you up, you can stop it. And like, there's no fear in that, right?
Like that's a fetishized version of control, meaning that is our imagination allowing us to believe that this is control. But again, because two people cannot have control over one thing,
right?
I don't see it as humanly possible.
I agree.
Right?
I get what you mean. That like you don't think that this sub-dom relationship is based in control. It's based on communication.
I feel like that. For one, the dom sub relationship is not. I feel like it. In a fantasy, it's based on control, but in reality, it's not. It's based off of communication, based off of understanding, based off of so many other things, which then boils it down to fucking equality, if anything.
Yeah.
But moving on to a real control situation, like for example, Britney Spears conservatorship. At what point should Britney have known? Shit, I gotta get my life together. Or at what point should have Jamie Lynn have known? Shit, my sister's being taken advantage of. At what point should Lynn have realized my daughter is fucking going down the wrong path? And I mean that hypothetically. So like in a relationship setting, how does someone notice when the control is now being excessive and it's taking over their life?
Sorry, did I just hear that Britney Spears' mom's name is Lynn?
Where do you think Jamie Lynn came from?
That's so stupid. I knew the dad's name was Jamie,
so
but I
hick.
did not know her mom's name was Lynn.
So I think her mom's name is Brittany, or her middle name is Brittany, which is where Brittany or Jamie, Lynn, Brittany, something, now Spears.
Just keep in mind that they are from Louisiana. Okay.
Louisiana, Texas.
I'm just like, my body's just like, ugh.
Louisiana's in Texas, no?
Sorry.
No.
Louisiana, Texas. Yeah.
Go ahead.
What was I gonna say?
When would Britney lose, or when would Britney should have known that shit was going down?
Should her surroundings have known?
To your hypothetical questions, I think realistically, like, I think when people are in it, like, it's hard to really know when you're in it. Sometimes you're so far removed, like, from within, that you can't.
Yeah.
Right. And the only, like you said, you only realize in your situation years later.
Right.
So I really think that in that case, like, you need to either have like just good people around you that are able to actually tell you the truth, or you need to take a step back from your particular situation and like look from the outside and really evaluate and kind of make a judgment call.
Yeah, and I think it's a special exception to like the women, like especially like women in these kind of positions in being actors and artists and these kind of things, that like these people like her, Miley Cyrus, what's her name, Drew Barrymore, all these people that like grew up in this system with even like I don't think maybe oh my gosh, Jay, use your words. Maybe Miley Cyrus didn't have as toxic parents, but you see like the toxicity in like Drew Barrymore or Lindsay Lohan or all these people that like grew up in like very like in like from a very small age, that people have had control over your life. You've had managers, you've had assistants, you've had all this stuff that you've kind of only had mild control over your life all the time. So to give up like something like conservatorship might have not even felt like that big of a deal at first, right? Like she didn't really have the understanding of control over her life because everybody's always scheduled her life since she was like a baby.
Would you say that's the underlying not ideology, but the underlying foundation of majority of relationships today? Like how many times can you hear about people saying like, okay, you know what? I guess I'll move in with you because you want to move in with each other.
Yeah, it's to a little bit, but I think that this is on such a higher scale of loss of human like, you know, we've always had the ability to have connection to the, like now having connection to the internet, being able to like sneak onto our computers late at night when our parents are asleep and jerk off with a cucumber in our ass.
Therefore, you have no control because you had to sneak.
But you still had a slight control to be able to go on your computer and see that
it's
information.
Not control, that's access. You
had access,
yeah,
right? She had no access to any of this stuff. So control was so much easier. It was so much easier to circumvent her ideas, what they wanted her to believe in, what they wanted her to do, funnel it in this little fucking tube and make her into the like robot Barbie that we know she is today.
I am Britney Spears.
Yeah. And that's scary. That's scary to see. Like, and even if have you guys watched any of this stuff? Oh my gosh. How have we not brought any of this up? Have you guys watched any of this stuff about Nexium? Have you heard of Nexium?
No.
It's like this weird, I'll talk about it shortly then. So it's like this weird fucking cult that like you paid a bunch of money to be a part of, and they like taught you how to be a better life. It was like better life planning, blah, blah, blah. The lead guy of it and the girl was like one of the actresses in Smallville. Anyway, they like had this whole thing where they were bringing all these people in, telling them this is how you have a better life.
Girl?
Yeah,
I do remember.
Girl. Yeah.
Yes, I do remember seeing her on the news. Yeah.
So they were like bringing all these people in, and then all of these women started getting like told that they had to be part of the secret part of the company called Dose, and they were like in this space of like having to be sex slaves or slaves and like send like sexually scandalous photos or write letters that say like, I hate my husband, I cheated on my husband 1,000 times even if it wasn't true, or these kind of things. It's like have complete control. And it was a really interesting documentary talking about how simple it is, especially for smart people, to sometimes be manipulated into these spaces of being like, oh, I'm doing something that's good, or I'm doing something that's bettering myself, or I'm doing something that's going to better the world. And that everybody always thinks that these women that get stuck into these sex cults, or these men or any of these people that get into these cults, are like just really dumb people that are looking for like the last thing. But a lot of these people are actually really, really smart. And they've just been put in a cycle of being like, I'm doing better for the world. It's the same thing with like, in weird way, like Christianity. Like when I started joining Young Life, which was a Christian youth organization, going to reach the furthest kid out, I thought I was changing the fucking world bringing these kids to camp every year.
Just because you brought up Christianity, it reminded me of what's that religion that Leah Remini loves to fight.
Scientology?
Yeah.
Scientology.
Another cult.
That's the epitome of control.
Yeah. And you should, if you guys haven't watched any of the things about Nexium, like it's actually friggity fracking insane.
I'll check it out.
It's insane. Let's do a lightning round of things that have ever controlled you in your life, things that you want to make control you less. Does anybody have any control with drugs? Do drugs control any part of your life?
Sorry, wait. Do we lose control to these things, or do we have control of these things?
Have we lost control, or do we have control?
I don't have control when I'm on drugs.
Right. That's the point.
but I have control over drugs. Yes.
Love that.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I definitely did a whole bunch of drugs. So I definitely did not have control of that.
Yeah. I think I'm working on my control with drugs and seeing which one has control over which. If I have control over them or if they have control over me. What about sex?
I have full control.
I want to say I have full control.
I would say that I think I have like a pretty good control over sex, but I get nervous about sex sometimes. So then it maybe has a little bit of control over me. What about booze?
Gaining it.
Yeah, balance.
I definitely I don't struggle with it at all. Like I could not drink for the rest of my life.
What about men?
Interesting question. No, I think I have full control.
Sometimes I'm
You just
questionable.
want those men's.
Yeah, well, depending on who it is, like sometimes I can do some questionable things, and I don't like that, so I do not have the control over that.
I think there's a balance, especially in the gay community, in like the queer community, where it's like kind of like always hypersexualized. That sometimes you're like, I think, and there's so much attack of like just seeing men all the time. What about your parents? How's that relation? Do your parents have any control? Feel like you have control? Your parents have control over your life?
My parents don't. Like I've always been like, even from when I was little, I've always kind of done my own thing. I've never had controlling parents.
Right.
Same. I would say my mom has never tried to control me, but I would say that her life has influenced mine. But there's definitely, I think she's made it a duty for her not to control her kids, because within my family we all full-heartedly believe that like the more you control your kids, the more they rebel. So I was definitely that 14-year-old coming home at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I think my mom always should have control over my life, and then I just took control of all the things that I should have control over, and then it hurt her feelings a little bit, and then I was like, this is a positive relationship now with her. She was like, oh, I don't get it. And I was like, well, you'll try. What about your pets or your friends?
Full control.
Nice.
I don't have any pets, but
You don't have any friends for sure.
definitely
You got nobody.
none.
I think I have pretty good control over my friend, but I get a fair bit of FOMO. My pet Calvin for sure controls my entire life. What about social status?
Full control.
I think I have full control of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I like to get validated once in a while.
On social status, what about social media?
This is where, oh my gosh, you read my damn mind. This is the next one I was going to ask. I think that social media is a great place for us to kick off next week. Have we talked about social media yet?
No.
Not in a big way.
Not in a big
Because
way.
I think social media has big ass fucking control over my
I was
life.
going to say that.
For
Answer
sure.
the question, leave it there.
Yeah.
I think social media has full control over my life.
I think it has way too much over mine.
So maybe we all are just Britney Spears, but to social media.
Yeah.
I guess we'll talk about it next week.
Maybe I'm Justin Timberlake.
So thanks so much for listening to Queer this week. My name is Jay Northcott, also known as Nervous Shipwreck.
Thanks, gays. It's been J-Ho.
Alexander Jamal, also known as Nervous Airplane.
And this has been Queer. We'll see you next week. Toodles.
Sing it.
Bing bang bong, sing sang song, ding dang dong. Toodles queers.
Sashay away.